welcome, everyone. Welcome to a new edition of Remixing Politics and Culture with me, your host, Pam. I am a public relations and marketing professional with a passion for social justice, voter advocacy, and culture. And tonight we're going to do something a little different. We haven't talked about rural America. And we're going to do that tonight, specifically North Carolina, rural America in North Carolina. And those areas do not get much attention. They do not get the attention that they deserve. They have vast needs in areas politically, economically, and otherwise. And our special guest tonight, Reverend Daly-Mack, was just elected as the first woman president of the Northampton County NAACP. She is a registered nurse, and listen, let me pull her up while I talk about her. Add her to the stream. There she is.
Hello.
Hey. She is the first woman elected president of the Northampton County chapter of the NAACP. She is a registered nurse, an associate minister of Cool Spring Missionary Baptist Church in Gaston, North Carolina. She serves as the leader of the church's wellness ministry. Reverend Dawn has encouraged her congregants to eat better, move more, to make healthier food choices, to enjoy the benefits of a healthier lifestyle for better health outcomes. She is a graduate of the Leadership North Carolina class number 27 and is also a graduate of the North Carolina Rural Center's first Eastern North Carolina Homegrown Leaders class. Say that 10 times. She is the regional facilitator of Regions Innovative for Strong Economies and Environment, also known as RISE, which is a partnership between the North Carolina Office of Recovery and Resiliency and the North Carolina Rural Center. Reverend Dawn is a native of Chicago, Illinois, a fellow Midwestern girl like myself, and she and her late husband brought their family to live in North Carolina in 2005. She is the mother of 4 adult children and has 6 granddaughters. And nope, she's not retired. She's out here making things happen in rural North Carolina. And we are so happy to hear it. Welcome, Reverend Dawn Daly-Mack, to the show.
Thank you. I am really excited about being here. I've been watching you like every week, and so this is great.
I'm so happy. I am flattered that you've been watching. You guys in the chat, please make sure you actively participate, because I'm sure, like I said, we just don't give enough attention to rural communities. And so no matter whether you guys are listening from New York or Michigan or Iowa or here in North Carolina, I think maybe all of their issues could be somewhat similar. We definitely learned of a number of issues during the pandemic. We learned a lot during the pandemic, but I think I really learned a lot in the about rural North Carolina. Excuse me, for sure during the pandemic, especially when it came to lack of internet access, high speed.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Uh-oh, I have a visitor.
Hey,
come here. You come say hi, and then you have to go back to your mommy.
Hey
this
there.
Is Lonnie.
Hi.
Say hi, Lonnie.
Hi, Lonnie. We've never been had a youngster on the show before, so you're first.
Oh wow,
Lonnie.
She's known as Zoom baby. She joins me on all kinds of meetings, so she's kind of used to this.
I see. So listen, I'm gonna call you Reverend Dawn because I won't get your whole name out every time, but What made you decide to go for the top job at the NAACP?
Okay, she's got to go. Actually, I was asked to take the position.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Tony Burnett, who was our president for several years, he said he was retiring.
Mm-hmm.
He's not retiring from working, but just to do other things.
Yeah.
Um, and so people in the branch began to say, well, maybe it's time for a woman. We've never had a woman president. So they asked me to do it because I
Mm-hmm.
guess I'm the one that talks the most.
See, that's what happens when you speak up. That's what
Mm-hmm.
happens. That's what happens. Listen, Reverend Dawn, so many young people don't really have a clue about what the NAACP is or what it has done. I bet you they know the Image Awards, though. They know the entertainment aspect side, and
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
that's all they know.
Mm-hmm.
So, what, what, see, the organization was founded, let's see, February 12th, 1909. What are some of your things that you'd like to see do briefly? And then we're going to show a little video of some past history nuggets about the NAACP. What would you like to see done?
Well, what I like to see done is that we become more actively involved in life. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, the pandemic has brought a lot of things to light. That things that had kind of forgotten. I'm not really upset with the young people that don't really know what the NAACP does because I didn't know when I
Mm-hmm.
was young. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't join the NAACP for the first time until 2018. And
Okay.
so 5 years ago is
Uh,
when I had heard of it, and all I knew were protests and marches and the Image Awards.
right.
Um, and so there are so many things that have come to light during the pandemic that need to be addressed, like health disparities
Yes.
and lack of good jobs that provide a living wage. Um, Housing is an issue in
Mm,
rural communities. There's just so many things. All the things that are going on all over the country are going on right here in this rural community. And I
right.
think we can all get together. It's like all hands on deck. We need everybody. If you have expertise in any area at all,
Mm-hmm.
come bring it to the meeting and
Uh-huh.
let's talk about the things that we can do to
Mm.
make life better here.
About how many people are active in your chapter, would you say?
Active?
I see.
Well,
It's like, it's like who goes to church versus who's actually working in church. It's that same
right.
paradigm. So,
Yeah. So it's about 5% of the people do 95% of the work. And so I believe that we have a membership on the books of about 110.
mhm.
Um, but I
That's
think
good for a rural
that's,
community. I think that's good, don't you?
yeah, it is really good. But they're
Mhm.
on the books because what we've seen in meetings have been maybe 30.
Okay.
um, which is actually still pretty good because just coming back after the pandemic, we moved to a larger location so people could spread out. For a
Mhm.
while, when the weather was okay, we were meeting in the parking lot so everybody could just sit in their cars or bring chairs and sit outside on the lawn.
Mhm.
We've tried a bunch of different things, but even some of those people, they come to the meetings, but they come and they gather all the information that's being given. But I
Mhm.
can't say that they're really actively participating in a way that I would like to see.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll, you know what? I'm going to show this brief video for our audience and for us, just to see a snippet of a background about the NAACP to educate some people and to entertain others. And then we'll come back and we'll discuss more. Hold on 1 second. So I share my screen. Okay. All right.
Most early films consisted of one reel, lasted around 15 minutes, and cost a few $100s to produce. All of that changed in 1915 when a film called The Birth of a Nation, a 3-hour-long saga, was released by director D.W. Griffith. It instantly stood out as a technological and storytelling marvel. It also stood out as a monumental piece of blatantly racist propaganda.
The Birth of a Nation fixes a certain story of the Civil War and Reconstruction in the minds of the American public. And that story is that Black people were too lazy and ignorant to fully master the citizenship that they were offered by Reconstruction.
Birth of a Nation really didn't have Black people in it. So these are white people in blackface portraying congressmen who are obviously not ready for self-government, portraying the idea of the rapist. And these are all the stereotypes that are believed by many, many Americans.
The film was met with fierce resistance from African Americans, particularly from a recently founded organization focused on the advancement of the race, the NAACP.
One of the most important early initiatives of the NAACP was organizing against the Birth of a Nation. They generated a lot of interest by protesting the film and drew in a great deal of support from African Americans.
Despite its best efforts, the NAACP couldn't persuade censorship boards or theaters to limit the film's reach. But the young organization gained national prominence because of this campaign. That year, membership almost doubled, and that number would continue to grow as it mounted the fight against Jim Crow.
Those activists dissented at the time, and those dissenting voices were always there. They were there during the darkest periods of American history. And remembering that tradition, to me, is almost more important than remembering the failures and the losses and the terrorism that Black people faced.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. That was it in a nutshell, but it actually started, the NAACP actually started its origin story from the Springfield, Illinois race riot. Your home state of Illinois, the home state of the home city actually of Abraham Lincoln.
That's right.
Figure. So
State capital.
Yeah. So look at there. So it's interesting, but that segment I found was so interesting and was pretty short enough to give just to show how the NAACP has been so critical in so much of the civil rights legislation and stuff that we know. Reverend Don, how do you think? What are you thinking of how you're going to reimagine that and get people more fired up and more engaged in the process of being politically motivated? Because hey, the 2024 presidential election is nipping at our heels, and we've got to be fired up and ready to go and vote up and down the entire ballot, not just for the presidential thing, because all politics is local. What are your plans? What are your plans?
Well, just like I mentioned earlier, all of the issues that I'm trying to get the branch involved in, those are the things that we vote for, really. We're dealing with trying to restore hope for ex-offenders and working on economic development. I think it's kind of like a practice run. Like if you can get involved in all of these issues, and when it comes time to vote and we can tie that in with the need to vote, then people are going to vote because they're like, oh yeah, I already know about this. I need to do this. I think a lot of times people don't vote because they really don't know why it's important, especially like you said, voting down ballot. Everybody wants to vote when there's a presidential election, but they don't know anything about their mayor or their county commissioners or any of those other offices. One of the things that our branch has always done that I appreciated, and the reason that I joined 5 years ago, was every time we came to a meeting, there would be representatives from education, from government. Some of our judges came and they would give a report. And that kept our branch abreast of everything that was going on in the county and the things that we needed to take action on. And so, COVID kind of took some people away. Not that they died, but they stopped coming out to the meetings. I'm hoping that they can come back and we can start to regenerate that. They had a great momentum going when I first got there.
Really, really, very good. I'm so glad to hear that. Can you tell the audience where exactly you're located in North Carolina? So most everybody has heard of Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. They all know that. They know Duke University. They know UNC, Michael Jordan. They know, and then the debacle over Nicole Hannah-Jones, that was UNC Chapel Hill, the country's oldest public university. So they know this region because it's a big urban area. But tell us where you are and what the demographics are, that type of thing, if you will.
If anyone has ever traveled south on I-95, coming from New York or Philadelphia or wherever, as soon as you cross from the Virginia state line into North Carolina, there I am. So I live in a town called Gaston. It's the very first exit off of I-95 when you cross that Virginia state line. So we are about an hour and a half away from Raleigh, and then Richmond, Virginia is an hour and a half north of us.
Okay.
That is where we are.
Okay. Because where I reside in the Durham area, I'm about a good 2-hour ride from Richmond. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I guess when you're in the center of the state, it's not too hard to get different places or something.
Right.
I'm the worst person geographically, so you were helping me out with that description. Okay.
And as for the demographics, Northampton County and our neighboring Halifax County, demographically, we are both majority African American populations.
Really?
Yeah. And I know for Northampton County, for sure, when it comes to voting, we have always been Democrat, the whole county. I mean, we have some Republicans, but they can't really win because of the numbers. And so the challenge is always to make sure that everybody gets out and vote.
Yeah. I was going to say that you know what? Because oftentimes when I think of some of the rural counties in North Carolina, I think of many of them that are definitely red. What are some of the red counties that we have in rural North Carolina? Like Clinton, that's red, isn't it?
You might be right. Many, headed out towards central and out west. I think more of those might be red than here. Pretty much in this area, Democrat. But, that doesn't stop the Republicans from trying really hard to gain a foothold and stuff. And even sometimes playing dirty, like, switching parties when it's time to vote. All kinds of stuff. It's a little disheartening, the kind of things that they try to do, but then they lose every time. And I just wish we could get along.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I do think, let me ask you this. Do you think, or did you notice any shift there, even though you are heavily Democratic in your area? Did you notice any shift when the Trump campaign came through?
I think the first time around, a lot more of them came out to vote, but still Democrat won everywhere in Northampton County. And I think pretty much in Halifax County. And then in the most recent wave of elections, they tried again and still weren't very successful.
What would you say some of your, and not from an NAACP standpoint, but from just a county standpoint, what are some of your challenges there in Northampton County?
Housing, jobs, and keeping our children here. The ones that do go away to college often do not come back. because they don't feel that there are jobs here. There's no place to live. I mean, there's very few housing starts. I mean, I hear about, in the Triangle, houses and apartments being built everywhere.
Constantly, but you can't afford them.
Right. You can't afford them.
So listen, there are a lot of people that work in Durham County government, Durham city government, that they are not living in the area in which they serve because they can't afford it. They're going further out, maybe some parts of Orange County, Alamance. People were going to Mebane, but Mebane's got kind of hot now. And then Alamance County, going towards the Triad. Well, that is in the Triad, right? Alamance, yeah, because it's right. It's before you get to Greensboro, whatever. It's kind of hard for me to keep how we have all these little pockets, but yeah, it's heading towards the Triad, and so you've got this commute time to come in to work and what have you. So it's it's a little tricky. But when you say housing, I would think that housing would be a lot cheaper there. It's just that you're saying you don't have a housing boom of people building.
Yeah, housing's not expensive. It's just that there's no housing. Like in Gaston, there is someone building some homes, and I think I heard they were building 25 homes, and that's a big deal. And they bought up a bunch of property far from where I live. And they have
your voice, something happened. I don't know what happened.
You can't hear me?
It's something syncing or something. I see it on my end. I don't know what it is.
Okay, I turned my earbuds off. Can you hear me now?
Could you try again?
My Siri started acting up, started getting involved. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, now you're talking. Okay, now Latrice says she can hear. Thank you, Latrice. She made a comment. She can hear everyone. I don't know what happened. It was like Siri started acting up in my thing. It was so strange. Anyway. Anyways, there is a brother that is about to build, and I wish I could remember what city it is in North Carolina. It's not a heavily populated area at all, but he's going to be doing 3D printing of homes. I don't know if I'm ready for no 3D printing of homes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. He bought a plot of land. There was a whole news segment on him on one of the local TV stations, and I was really impressed. But and listen, I like to learn about new technology and stuff, but I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know. Not the way we have hurricane force winds come through here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that might not be the move.
They're not coming just to the coast anymore. After what was it, Floyd? Remember, it came so far in, and what happened? Yeah. So listen, we have in North Carolina a new leader in the Democratic Party. She's 25 years old, a firebrand, a real whippersnapper, and she is from a rural community in North Carolina, and she is known as a community organizer. From reading her bio, she is Anderson Clayton, all 25 years of age of her, and I'm trying to get her on my show because I want to hear what she has planned, because really and truly, for those many red districts, communities in North Carolina that are rural, we really need some better organizing, because you and I both know that our state legislature really has nothing for them. Nothing at all. Nothing whatsoever. Nothing. So we've got to be on the case with that. And I would love, Anderson, if you're listening, any of you folks from Roxborough, North Carolina that might be listening, Call up Anderson Clayton and have her come on my show.
Or my friend Susan McCracken, who knows her personally. Yeah, she
Uh-huh.
knew her from Appalachian State.
Uh-huh.
She tried to connect us the other day. We kind of missed each other, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what tell me some other things that are going on there in Northampton County, or just anything, whatever it is that you desire to share with the audience. Let us know what's going on.
Well, what I really like to share with the audience is that rural communities need some attention. Honestly, I spend a lot of time going outside of my community. I have joined several groups, and you heard I was a member of LNC, so that gave me connections. There's like, I think, close to 1,500 alumni of Leadership North Carolina, and they come from all parts of the state, all walks of life, any industry you can think of. And the thing about Leadership North Carolina is, like, if you need something, look on that list, call one of the alumni, and they're going to do their best to help you.
Okay.
So often we have been kind of siloed here in our rural community with no access to a lot of things that other people might take for granted. And at the same time, while knowing that you need something, but at the same time being kind of afraid to go out and get it, because the history is, we need something, you've got it, but you're not going to give it to us. And we're even afraid to ask because you're going to tell us no. I mean, there's horror stories of, money that was appropriated for rural communities that just never made it for whatever reason. And I kind of think part of that is that no one has gone to get it. And so I have nominated myself to go get it. And I often find myself in rooms, in conferences and conventions, that I am the only person from a rural community. But I let them know I'm there, and I tell them what we need.
We have a question here. How is your educational system? Young families select places to live based on the school system as well as employment opportunities. I was going to ask you that. Tell us about your education system there.
So, Northampton County schools are trying to make a comeback. We weren't in such good shape before the pandemic. And then when schools closed down, that just dropped us even further. We have a new superintendent, and we are hopeful that things are going to improve. But, that's going to take a while to build that up. And yeah, so we know that part of the reason that people don't move here is because of the school system, as well as there are no homes. I mean, people that live here, they live in the house that their grandmother lived in. They're not going anywhere. And there are just no new housing starts until recently. Well, before we had our little technical problem, I was saying that there is a family now. They are building, well, they have 3 houses now that are, I guess, the model homes. And like 2 of them are 2-story homes. We don't see those at all in my area. Everybody lives in a double wide, or a ranch. And so they're really nice homes. And so we're hopeful that that's going to help bring some people here.
Right.
But still, schools, we need help. We really do. And we've got too many schools. We've got
Really?
Yeah. So in Halifax County and Northampton County, which are so close that kids sometimes go back. I mean, if you go to the county schools, you have to live in the county. But as for the other public that say they're not charter, but they're public schools, you can go across. And in Halifax County, there's Weldon City Schools, there's Roanoke Rapids City Schools, there's Halifax County Schools, and then there are a few academies, and the kids are all spread out. And there has been, for years, a contingent of people that said, why can't we have one school district? Thinking that maybe that would help, because it's not like any of those school districts are really overperforming. They all need help, and maybe they could take it.
So, excuse me, let me understand. So Northampton County doesn't have its own school district?
Oh, we do. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Northampton County has a school district. And we also have a KIP, which is They say it's public, but it's more Knowledge is Power program, KIPP. It's across the country. I think they started out in California, maybe. And so we do have that here. There's one in Durham, too. And it's actually part of this system, KIP ENC.
So is that a charter school system? Is that what
they say? They're a public school system, but it feels like charter to me.
Okay. I get a little confused with the charter school system because they still get the pot of tax money that is allocated for the public schools, but yet I think they kind of pick and choose what students they take. I'm just saying.
So for KIP, you definitely have to win the lottery. Unless you had a sibling, then there is a such thing as sibling preference. And so I know when KIP started, KIP was for, children that they wanted all children to have a good education, right? And from what I've seen, being someone that came from the outside, coming from Philadelphia, I saw that there were kids from the community that were there. And then there were doctors, and a lot of the doctors are foreign, right? And so they could certainly afford to go to some of the academy schools, which, charge quite a bit for their kids to go, I believe. I don't know.
The private school.
That they could go to the charter schools, but that's not really I don't want to say a friendly place, but, they were started, a lot of the academies were started when schools had to be integrated, and they pulled their kids out of public schools and built these academies where their kids could be away from us. So when the African...
They could do their own form of segregation.
Yep. So, African doctors and Filipino doctors and Indian doctors, they saw KIP. And there's no charge. It's a public school. Right. And so there's a lot of their kids going there. I had 2 daughters that went there. Okay. So it ends up being, it seems like preferential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it seems like it and it tastes like it and sounds like it, it probably is. Right. I don't know what Loretta put here. Pop. What do you mean, Loretta? I don't know what you mean. I don't know what she means.
Yeah, you're gonna have to explain that to us.
Yeah, explain that one to us. Yeah. So I see our other special surprise guest that I had told you about is here. I had run into Councilman his name is Leonardo. We call him Leo Williams. He and his wife own an award-winning restaurant here in Durham, and he is called Zuele's. It is the only Zimbabwean restaurant in the state of North Carolina, and it is delicious. And I ran into him at church today, and he asked me, "How's your podcast going?" I said, "Oh, it's going pretty good." And I told him that you were coming on. He said, "I think I've heard her name before." Then he tells me he's from Halifax County. I said, we're talking about, NAACP relevancy and all of this stuff. And I had told him how you were really, you really wanted that youth energy to come into the community to help and what have you. So I see he's here. So let me bring him up. Hey there.
Hey there, how you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Hi. Councilman Williams or Leo, this is Reverend Dawn and vice versa. And he is from Halifax County.
How about that?
Yeah, born and raised in Hobgood and Scotland Neck and Enfield. And my mom played bingo at Jackpot in Round Rapids and Garrisburg. She played bingo at Garrisburg. And I trained the drum majors at Northampton West and East High Schools when I was drum major at NCCU. So I'm a homeboy.
Wow. Yes, you are.
Yeah. So she was telling us about, her Northampton County, and one of the things that she was talking about, that they just don't have the houses, wanting to, there's not enough housing. There's some new family that now this new family that's just built this 2-story home. Are they developers? Are they trying to be developers there in your
Well, they're not a new family. They're from the area. They live here.
Okay.
And he owns some other businesses. And so they bought property kind of adjacent to his business. He owns like a truck stop in Gaston.
Mhm.
And they bought a lot of property. And so the 3 homes that they're building are like model homes they're building more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So these are 3 different homes. 2 of them are 2-story homes, and another one is a 1-level home. They
Mhm.
have 2-car garages and just stuff that we don't see here a lot. And everybody is really excited about that. I'm like, can I sell my house and move in one?
Right, right. So one of the things she was talking about, Leo, is just about the opportunities, more businesses, more opportunities, and what have you, because their kids don't want to stay. They go away to college. They don't want to come back. You didn't come back. You stayed. You went to NCCU, and look where you are. But
Yeah.
to his credit, though, he was telling me how he goes back. He's been coming back to home. Tell us about that, Councilman. What you've been.
Yeah. So what I was talking about, and it's a pleasure to meet you, beyond the name, Reverend Don.
Like,
Um, I, I, I speak a lot. I do a lot of public speaking, but I never charge for my time. I never hesitate for my time, and I remove things in my calendar for coming home to inspire. And my definition of inspiring is just showing folks the pathway that I traveled. I grew up running through the woods over in Scotland on 125 highway. And I mean, I love my upbringing. I think it was better than most. We were poor and happy, and that was okay. You know, um, but I didn't realize it until I left, and I started seeing the more urban areas that wow, this is different, and I like it. So I ended up staying here in Durham, and now I'm 42, and I'm still living in Durham and leading the city. But I spend a lot of time now, starting to spend more coming back home and just spending my time as an investment because I know that there's talent. You know, the assistant district attorney for the city of Miami, a major city, is from Enfield, North Carolina. You
Really?
know, yes, Andrew Benson. And that's who I stay with when I go to Miami. I own 4 restaurants, 3 in the United States. The first Zimbabwean restaurant in the United States, and 1 hotel and restaurant in Zimbabwe. And I'm from Hobgood, Drumline, the production. There were Halifax County folks all up in that. I mean, we're all over the place doing amazing things, and it's now time for us to start making sure that the kids that come after us know that hey, it is possible. You can do more than just be at home, but we also have to invest back home.
Mhm.
So I'll be coming to Weldon to do an economic development plan, just on the new restaurants, things that they're opening up around the river. So I mean, it's so much opportunity. But if we don't get engaged and start, really, just inspiring and getting some renewed energy there,
Mhm.
things like the minimum wage across the state is going to remain $7.25,
Yeah.
which is a knee on folks' neck. And it's this state is ran by rural North Carolina, and
Mhm.
it's rural North Carolina that runs the state because rural North Carolina is disengaged, and it's just a few good old boys that are just running everything.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to change that. I think one strategy is a lot. A lot of folks are sprawling out to smaller or more rural areas from the metropolitan areas. But the
They are.
other thing is we already have a lot of folks there that can get involved and vote and change the scheme of things and build a lot more of those houses.
Mhm.
So we I don't want us to be like a third world country like Africa where we grow things and sell it and then buy it back. We can produce our own livelihood and quality of life. We
Mhm.
can do it. So that's what's really motivating me to get back involved back home You know, I spend my time running the city of Durham, and it has its complications and it has its rewards, but I can't leave my people behind. So that's why I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Reverend Dawn, I think this is a holy alliance. You each other because she's got the energy. She knows where all the bodies are buried, and she's in Northampton County. And listen, we've got they're heavily democratic, but they need that economic piece. They need that economic piece.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, economics, that was our weapon to freedom, as a people. And I gotta say, if I'm being honest, there are some of our own people that have been mentally conditioned to think that we don't deserve it or think that we're not supposed to have it. And that's just not wrong. That is the only way we stand on our 2 feet. My wife and I were denied 7 times to open our restaurant. So I used my teacher retirement, and now we own 4, and we're Black owned, and we're completely debt free. Can't nobody tell us nothing. So that is the way. That is the way forward.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
Oh
you
yeah.
restaurants. I only know about the one that I go to.
Yeah, we have, which is where I just served 300 people downstairs. I'm at Duke University right now. We have a cafe here, and we're opening the third one downtown Durham in about 2 weeks. That's the more upscale one, and of course the one in Zimbabwe. So 4 in total.
Okay. I did hear about going to Duke, and so that explains that background that I see. You're definitely Duke. You're in Duke. Yeah. Oh, I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you. Honestly. Oh, Loretta says, exactly, Reverend Dawn. I have friends in Georgia who laugh about the private school and rebuild to separate their children. Latrice says, let's see. Latrice says it's untenable that minimum wage has to be doubled, if not tripled. And Latrice is one of my faithful, all of these people here speaking are faithful. She is out of New York. So she's saying that wage is not. I mean, what can you get here in North Carolina with a minimum wage job? And even at the $15 per hour thing that everybody was fighting for, you can't do anything with that.
You can buy some bubble gum. That's about it. You can't do anything with $7.25. That is an oppressive barrier. And we really, I can't believe that it's not a bigger issue than what it is. But, here in Durham, we are, the minimum wage is $15 an hour here. My dishwasher gets paid $17, and that's still not enough, and now you have to make 3 times the amount of the rent to get an apartment. And the average apartment is $1,400 a month. So what are we saying? What are we actually saying to people?
Right.
So this is a problem. I can only imagine what it's like, really back home and other places like rural North Carolina. It's you cannot survive this way, and it really does keep people where they are.
Right.
That's not good.
That it does. There are a lot of adults that if they're still home, they're really still home. They still live with their parents because they cannot afford to get a place on their own, and there is no place to get. So it's really bad.
Really, really and truly. So tell us about this economic development plan that you have for, did you say Weldon?
Yeah, so I'm in talks right now with the town manager of Weldon and some of their council members. So what's going on in Weldon? They have some folks that are investing. They're well off, and they're opening things like a brewery. And a really good model is Saxville Hall in North Carolina, which is an old Indian reservation. And basically, what they did right on the Hall River, they had an old mill that they turned into nice upscale condos. They put a brewery out there, some other restaurants, a butchery, made it a little community, have a general store that has everything that you need. It's a gas station, winery, a restaurant, and grocery store all in one. And it's literally, you can walk the town, and in 5 minutes, you made it to the other end of the town. But it's a 2-hour wait to get in those restaurants.
Wow.
So when I meet with them, I'll be talking about the Saxville Hall model, and I drive out there. It's 25 minutes. I drive out there like once a month just to kind of get away. Weldon is well on its way to doing the same. Now, the economic development plan is just working with some of the small business owners there to just work on some collaboration like I did here in Durham with the Durham Small Business Coalition. And we raised $3 million here to really bolster small businesses in Durham. And that's how we kept everybody open during the pandemic. And Weldon, you know, it's like, okay, if you're opening a brewery, I'll open a restaurant, you know, and why don't you open a little general store next to it and create a little community? Next thing you know, we're getting some of that love from Runner Rapids. Right here in Weldon.
So how far is Weldon from you, Reverend Dawn?
Oh, it's straight up the street, as they say here.
Really straight up the street?
Yeah, it really is. It's 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. I can take 95 or I can drive through Roanoke Rapids, which is in between us. I mean, I go to Weldon. I go to the to Weldon Mills. They have a great distillery there. They have some award-winning whiskey and some other products. Really nice, right by the river. River Falls Park, and it's just it's a great place. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
We got to get some economic development that the NAACP, because you know what, her NAACP is kind of impressive to me. They've got about 100 people on the books, but about 32 folks or so are showing up to the meetings. That ain't it.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty impressive actually for that area. And it's more than Durham, believe it or not.
I know. That's what I'm thinking in my head. I'm thinking that, and you know how Durham is, but I'm just saying that's very impressive. And with your energy, I mean, I love how you're doing the health thing, and you're encouraging that, being an RN and all. And she's got her hands heavily involved in the healthcare aspect of things. Councilman Williams, and then she's just a go-getter. She's the bunny rabbit. She's trying to keep going, but she was just saying how she needs to have more young people and more energy and what have you. And so maybe
she froze. Yeah, I need younger people.
I
was telling Pam earlier that I just became president this year, and I am one of the younger members of the branch at 57. So, I'll get some 40-year-olds. I'll be fine with that. But no, I need some 20s, some 30s. I need young people, because I got to pass the torch to somebody.
Right.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you look nothing like 57. I think you're lying on this podcast.
Absolutely not.
But
God is good. God is good.
Yeah, I'll say this. Folks look at the NAACP as only social justice, but economic prosperity is social justice too.
Yes, amen.
And younger people, we're about the money. So imagine if the NAACP did more than fight civil lawsuits. What if they actually said, "All right, now you're a member here. Here's the economic development plan. This is how you start your own business. This is how you can, build your brand. If the NAACP started, focusing more on the individual's prosperity alongside the people's sustainability, I think that you'll get some younger people. That's why I'm rejoining here in Durham, because I'm like, you know what, we have and in Durham, to their credit, we have the Durham Committee on the Affairs of Black People, which is pretty much the NAACP,
right.
Which it's like it'll be great to have both. But with both of those, they do the same thing, and it's like, okay, when are we going to start getting on the offense? And that's why I want to complain. So in order to complain, I got to be a part of the game. So that's why I'm getting back involved.
All right.
Yes.
Freddie M. Butler says, "Thank you, Councilman, for willing to do the work, and I hope young people will be motivated by seeing and hearing about your accomplishments." I am too. I'm so proud of you. I didn't know you had that many restaurants. All I can think of is what I know I like to get at your
Yeah, can't you see the gray hairs coming in?
Just barely. Listen, when you come to Durham, it's on me. We're gonna go to his restaurant. It's a TJ right down the street, walking distance.
Well, I'm closing that location in 2 weeks and relocating it to Brightly Square.
That's even closer to my house. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
So
Right Leaf Square,
yeah,
really? Oh, listen.
we're opening in August. We're reopening in August, but in 2 weeks also, I'm opening the new upscale restaurant at American Tobacco, so y'all can come there.
Oh wow. Oh, American
Yeah.
Tobacco is really beautiful. It's
I
Yes.
beautiful
heard.
Oh yeah.
and
Yep.
stuff. It's
And
beautiful.
we'll be the restaurant over the waterfalls.
We'll
So
go hang out in some places, okay?
oh yeah.
Absolutely. Sounds like a plan.
Okay, here's another. Oh, Latrice says, "Well, black crack."
It does not.
What did it say?
Black don't crack.
Black don't crack.
Oh, at all. At all.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, oh boy. Well, it. You, I'm telling you, it was just serendipitous that we were at church.
Yeah.
It was the African, wear your African attire. I did not know that we were gonna have food catered by his restaurant after church.
Ooh.
And
Yep.
when I heard that, I heard Zimbabwean food. I said, I know that's Leo and his wife. I said, it can't be anybody else. So I said, oh, good, I don't have to go out. So we just went to the fellowship hall and he was serving and it was delicious and it was wonderful. And so I didn't know he had I just learned something new on the show. And then he was from Halifax County, from North Carolina.
I'll send you the link to our hotel in Zimbabwe. It's absolutely beautiful. It's called Sunset Views Lodge. If you ever go to Zimbabwe, your stay is on me.
I have to do that because I have a friend actually who wants to relocate to South Africa. So,
Beautiful.
hey,
Beautiful.
I have to make sure I let him know too. But I've got to make sure, I will make sure, Reverend Dawn, that you have Councilman Williams's information and vice versa, because who knows? I mean, listen, if Weldon is just a hop, skip, and jump from you, maybe there's some micro enterprises that the NAACP there in Northampton County can think of creating or whatever. I know that there's probably people there that have desires for businesses or expansion or something.
Yeah, and Weldon is Weldon. I mean, I'll come to Garrisburg or Gas wherever. I'm all about uplifting home.
Yeah, right. I got to tell you, I never told you, my first degree was business management, and I am a small business owner as well. Okay. And so I do talk to young people about, everybody during the pandemic, they said, let's do my hustle instead, as they were collecting their stimulus checks, they were also trying to do their hustle on the side. And I said, well, you got to make your hustle legal. So let's get it on paper, get some books going, and then you can really get the bag, as they say. So yeah, I'm all for that as well.
Yeah. Loretta says, love, economic prosperity is social justice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're gonna have to use that tagline. You got to remember that, Leo. That's really important. Yes, absolutely.
We remember what we live every day. So
yes, right. Yes.
But you know what? Everything concerning us is social justice at this point.
Yes,
it is. Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, the book bans, all of this stuff that crazy nonsense is happening in Florida that is trying to spread even here in North Carolina. It's just the insanity stuff. So we really have to make sure that we're educating everyone about these things and have them not believe these guys are so religious and holier than thou, because they are not. And that's a whole nother thing about this Christian nationalism. That is, that's another thing, that it's nothing Christian about it.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started. I can write a whole sermon about it.
Had on here Pastor J, Dr. J. Augustine is the pastor of St. Joseph AME Church, where Leo was at today, that he has in his book, A Call for Reconciliation. He talks in depth about Christian nationalism. I've had him on the show before. We're going to have him on again because this is a very critical issue. And you will see a lot of that when the campaigns start kick up for the presidential 2024.
Yeah.
So many Black people we're so religious that sometimes it is hard for us to separate somebody saying Lord, Lord, and do they really believe in the Lord? I mean, show me how you living, show me how you treat people. I want to see the example of your religiosity versus the things that you're doing to others, But
I got another tagline for you. Don't be so heavenly bound that you're no earthly good.
Right. Yes. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Well,
I
I was about to say I'm gonna get back downstairs. I just wanted to jump on. I follow the show, and Reverend Don, I hope that we can connect, and whatever I can do to just be an asset to your energy and to the resources you're trying to generate. I'll consider that a priority.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get ready.
All right. See, he's young. He's got all that energy and stuff. Hey, they're good.
Maybe not today after 5 caterings and 300 people downstairs, but I'm usually pretty uppity.
You still got the energy going. You still got it. I appreciate you so much for coming on. I really, really do. Thank you so much for the encouragement and everything. I think it's wonderful, and it's good for the audience to see. This is called economic. What I forget what it is in Swahili in the. When we go through Kwanzaa, what day that is? Is it Umoja? Umoja, is it that day? I don't know. Whatever day it is.
I don't know.
Cooperative economics. We see where we can help one another, and we bring it together, and we come full circle. So it's a blessing. A blessing.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Well, y'all keep going. I'm gonna jump off. It was a pleasure, and I'll be in touch, or I'll look out. To we're going into budget season now, so it's about to get crazy in Durham. But I'm just an email away.
Okay.
All right. Nice meeting you.
Yeah. You thanks again. Okay. So we're almost at the end we're right about at the end of the show. Any special things? That was real. Oh, I'm just so thankful that I ran into him today.
Me too.
That was uplifting. That was certainly uplifting. Wow. I just, I don't know all of those towns. I've certainly heard of them. I know of Roanoke Rapids, but I know Roanoke Rapids, Virginia. And then we do have I guess it's just, what is it? Right across the street. There's Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina.
No. So Roanoke, Virginia is about 4 hours away. It's nowhere near here. It's just Roanoke. Roanoke Rapids is what's close to me, and it's by the Roanoke River. Roanoke, Virginia is a whole nother entity.
Okay. So North Carolina's Roanoke is Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina. And Roanoke, Virginia is just Roanoke.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, got a little geography lesson here. Okay, great. Well, thank you. Is there anything that you'd like to tell the audience as we sign off?
I just want people to take another look at the NAACP. You might be surprised at what we are, what we aren't, what we do, and what we don't. But if you want to know, just ask me. I'll tell you.
Okay. And we need to, just like Leo said, he's gonna re-engage himself in the NAACP. And you know what? I think that from a national perspective, they may need to do a whole messaging campaign for themselves, a rebranding, because I'm gonna tell you, their image awards are excellent. But again, we get so into the fluff and the entertainment part of things that we need to be looking at all of the serious stuff because of the things that we're dealing with now Things are just going backwards, and we can't afford to have that. All right. So, Reverend Dawn Daly-Mack, I have enjoyed you. I am thankful for you coming on. I am hopeful for Northampton County, North Carolina, and your NAACP chapter. I think that you guys are doing great to show up 30 strong on meetings. And you can Yeah. So I'm excited to see what happens when you and Councilman Williams get together and things start happening, even more so. Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. So we're going to wave off good night to everyone, and we will see you next Sunday. Thank you for everybody for participating. Good night.
Good night.